In this case, Miss Kelly is correct. Santa was a white person. Does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. The spirit of Santa transcends all racial boundaries. It's a spirit based on generosity, kindness to children, and magical moments. All I want to do is keep the traditions of Christmas that make most Americans happy. The polls show 90% of Americans celebrate Christmas, and they want to call it a Christmas tree. You're in the minority, you're imposing your will, and you're making people unhappy. You're an atheist, you're a non-believer, and I respect that. That's fine. I don't look down on you. I don't think you're a pinhead.
Thank you.
If you want to be an atheist, that's why we have America. You can be it. But why are you messing around with my tradition? Why are you messing around with Christmas? Just leave it alone.
I mean, the fact is the war on Christmas is real, but Bill, it's a part of a larger war against Christianity that's being waged around the world. And
who do you think is behind the movement to diminish Christianity?
well, I think ultimately, Bill, as a Christian, I believe that it is the kingdom of darkness of Satan who from the beginning
But who
of
does he
time
use?
has been trying to extinguish. Well, he uses misguided judges who have perverted the First Amendment. You know, now we have that the First Amendment ensures a freedom from religion. You have pastors who are out there saying there is no war against Christianity.
Any of those I wish Merry Christmas are probably relieved to hear someone who feels free to utter the C word.
Boy cunt. I have cancelled many things on this channel and I don't have any regrets. Everyone I've cancelled has fully deserved it, and thankfully after I cancelled them, they've never worked on anything again. A lot of right-wingers might think I also want to cancel Christmas. I actually don't want to cancel Christmas. I actually really like Christmas generally. You know, I might be a meme war veteran. I might be a console war veteran. I don't think people talk enough about how traumatizing the console wars really were. I was in that fight since I was 6 years old, and I actually changed sides multiple times. I used to be on the Xbox side, and then I changed to the Sony side, and now I might be on the Nintendo side. It's a war I've been fighting my whole life, but I've never been one for the war on Christmas. I mean, the war on Christmas isn't really a thing in the UK anyway. Most people call it Christmas here. Happy holidays is more like an American thing. I do tell people to have a good holidays. I often say that, like have a good holidays. It's like more secular, of course. Not everyone I know is a Christian. I was raised Catholic. I'm not a Catholic anymore. Really inoffensive to me, especially because the roots of this holiday are in paganism, not in Christianity. But what I wanted to do for today's video is kind of expand on a video I made last year on the racist origins of the war on Christmas. Surprise, surprise. So I want to talk about that a little more. I want to talk about the Prager video made by Dennis Prager and just respond to how ridiculous the arguments are. Then we'll get into the history a bit more, and then obviously we're going to talk about the war on Christmas generals like Bill O'Reilly. Also, before we get a bit further, I know a lot of my fans and patrons are in the LGBT community, and I know Christmas can often not be a great time because when you often come out in this community, especially in America, to like a Christian conservative family, a lot of people have to completely cut ties with their families, so it's not a great reminder that everyone is with their families, but you can't be. All I would say is I hope you still have a good holiday period. For me, what I do personally when I'm not like doing anything massive for a special day is just use it as an excuse to eat loads and loads of crap and do whatever I want and not feel guilty about it at all. So that's my recommendation, but I am thinking of people like you guys in this holiday period, because as much as I enjoy it, you know, seeing my friends and family, I know that isn't really a possibility for everyone. And if you're not even in a Christian country, just have a nice December and New Year or something. Just to talk about Patreon and stuff a bit more, every video I've uploaded in the last 2 weeks has been demonetized. I have to wait for long-ass reviews to get them monetized, often weeks after they've been up. So please consider becoming a patron. Hopefully I sort this issue with YouTube and reviewing my own videos, but Patreon's always a good alternative for me because it just gives me a bit of security doing this as a job, and I want as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible. And the benefits of being a patron are getting access to the private Discord server and getting my Switch friend code, and hopefully before the end of the year I'm also going to add the ability to add me on PlayStation Network as well. Also, for every 5k we get a new chocolate orange. I can't believe we actually might get to 60k before the end of the year. When I got to 50k in November, I was happy and I was like, that's a good year's work. Cannot believe I might hit 60k soon, so it will complete the chocolate orange, but help me get to that final goal. So anyway, let's get into the video. So before we get into the history, I just want to respond to the Prager video. It's pretty infamous by now, but it's just a good summation of all the ridiculous arguments that go into the war on Christmas and how the secular left are waging this invisible war on Christian America. Very ironic because Dennis is himself a Jewish person who doesn't celebrate it as a religious holiday, meaning, is he actually celebrating it in a secular way? But I'm just going to play you some clips from the video.
Is all this elimination of the word Christmas important or not? The answer is obvious. It's very important. That's why so much effort is devoted to substituting other words for Christmas. In recent decades, I have been wished happy holidays by every waiter and waitress in every restaurant I have dined, by everyone who welcomes me at any business, by my flight attendants and pilots, and by just about everyone else. When I respond, "Thank you, Merry Christmas," I often sense that I've actually created some tension. Many of those I wish Merry Christmas are probably relieved to hear someone who feels free to utter the C word.
We can't.
But all the sensitivity training they've had to undergo creates cognitive dissonance. Of course, it's a war on Christmas, or more precisely, a war on the religious nature of America. The left in America, like the left in Europe, wants to create a thoroughly secular society. Who exactly is being excluded when one wishes someone Merry Christmas? Non-Christians? I'm a non-Christian. I'm a Jew. Christmas is not a religious holy day for me, but I'm an American, and Christmas is a national holiday in my country. It is therefore my holiday, though not my holy day, as much as it is for my fellow Americans who are Christian. That's why it's not surprising that it was an American Jew, Irving Berlin, who wrote White Christmas, one of America's most popular Christmas songs. In fact, according to a Jewish musician writing in the New York Times, almost all the most popular Christmas songs were written by Jews. Apparently, all these American Jews felt quite included by Christmas. By not wishing me a Merry Christmas, you are not being inclusive. You are excluding me from one of my nation's national holidays. Vast majority of Americans who celebrate Christmas and who treat non-Christians so well deserve better. So please, say Merry Christmas, and Christmas party, and Christmas vacation. If you don't, you're not inclusive. You're hurtful.
So this video just makes me laugh because it plays into the very common belief by so many on the American right that Christians are facing persecution because people are no longer accepting their total dominance over America's institutions and want a more secular society, not because they want people to not be religious. You can be religious and you can be a secularist as well, but because they want to be more inclusive, as Dennis points out, but apparently that's being hurtful. I guarantee you, no one secular gets offended by you wishing them a Merry Christmas. I have never been offended about that. Most people in the UK call it Christmas. I don't care. I'm a massive atheist. I literally could not care about being wished a Merry Christmas. I know loads of people who believe in Jainism and are Indian who celebrate Christmas and call it Christmas. But if they called it Happy Holidays, I don't think anyone would care. But again, it's just a manufactured culture war, but it's also a culture war that goes back a very, very long time, which we're going to get into. But I also just find it ironic that he's saying that Christmas has become something that is secular enough he as a Jew can celebrate it. It's actually this fake leftist movement trying to remove the Christian aspect of Christmas, which is ruining it. But it goes back to the point about Christians thinking they're persecuted because we won't all use their language. It's like those freedom of religion bills, which aren't about freedom of religion, they're about the freedom of religious people to discriminate against you based on their religion. A lot of Christians in America somehow believed it's their right to do as they please, and often a lot of them say they follow God's law and not the real law. And one more thing I want to mention, it shows you how much conservatives often just manipulate stuff. So he talks about Irving Berlin, who wrote the song White Christmas, proving that Jews actually like celebrating Christmas. They're not offended by it. They like it. I wonder what other songs this guy wrote. So it says on Wikipedia, many songs that became popular themes and anthems include Alexander's Ragtime Band, Easter Parade, Putting on the Ritz, Cheek to Cheek, White Christmas, and Happy Holiday. So you know that really famous song sung by Bing Crosby and others, and Bing Crosby is like the face of Christmas and has been in America for like decades. That was written by a Jewish person. So using a guy who wrote a song about White Christmas to prove that all Jewish people don't actually like saying Happy Holidays, while he actually also wrote the song Happy Holiday, is pretty hilarious, and obviously takes like 2 seconds to type this guy's name in and see that he wrote both these songs. But like I said, the war on Christmas has a long history. It's not just Dennis and Bill O'Reilly. It goes back even hundreds of years. So what we're going to do is just read about the really early history. I'm going to play you a clip of my video from last year about the anti-Semitic stuff, and then we're going to talk about like the modern incarnation of these things. So the Washington Post, the war on Christmas predates Trump, SNL, and Fox News by almost 400 years. A town crier walks through the streets on Christmas Eve yelling, "No Christmas, no Christmas." Traditional Christmas foods are banned, no mince pies, and definitely no pudding. Stores are forced to stay open all day December 25th, and children are required to go to school. Any violations of the ban on Christmas are a criminal offence. What is this vision? Are we talking about the post-apocalyptic world predicted by Fox News, where Hillary Clinton won and Happy Holidays became the law of the land? Was this what President Barack Obama was planning all along as a secret Muslim? Nope. This is what December looked like in 1647, when the Puritans banned Christmas in Boston because it was seen as nothing more than an unholy pagan ritual. Even the day, December 25th, was likely pegged to the Roman midwinter festival of Saturnalia, according to biblical scholars who can't quite agree on the day, month, or even year that Christ was born. So what place did it have in the New World? It began with Christians, yes, and the Puritan ethos held strong in New England for nearly 200 years when it came to Christmas. It wasn't until 1870 that Christmas was even recognised as an official federal holiday in the US, and no wonder it took so long. Christmas has divided the nation ever since. Northerners preferred Thanksgiving over Christmas as their big holiday. Southerners, meanwhile, saw Christmas as one of the peak days of the social season and made it an official holiday in Alabama in 1836, Louisiana and Arkansas in 1838, long before it became a federal holiday. So now I'm just going to play you my bit about Henry Ford. So in January 1919, Henry Ford began the publication of the Dearborn Independent, a small financially troubled community weekly he had purchased the previous year, carrying the subtitle The Chronicler of the Neglected Truth. The paper primarily served as a forum for Henry Ford's views. Each issue of the Independent carried Mr. Ford's own page, an editorial expressing his opinions, written by William J. Cameron. The Dearborn Independent would most likely have remained a sidebar in Ford's biography were it not for the controversial series that began on March 22nd, 1920 and lasted for several years. Appearing on the front page every week, The International Jew, the World's Problem, examined a purported conspiracy launched by Jewish groups to achieve world domination. The basis of the articles was an ancient and notorious forgery, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, an anti-Semitic hoax first published in Russia in 1903. And just to note, this work is the basis for a lot of the anti-Semitism you found in the time, including with the Nazis. So it goes on to say, Ford's own attitudes towards Jews were the major reason for the publication of The International Jew. His anti-Semitic beliefs formed along several strands from his upbringing, attitudes, and personal beliefs. They were also influenced by current populist political sensibilities that advocated a distrust of financiers, bankers, and institutions of economic power. A common stereotype at the time led some people to assume that Jews controlled the international banking system. That belief may have fed his anti-Jewish feelings. His crusade against World War I convinced him that the international Jewish bankers were fomenting the war. Here again, the stereotype noted above may have convinced him that international Jewish bankers supported the war for personal gain. Again, a popular anti-Semitic conspiracy theory believed by people like the Nazis. Lastly, Ford's growing cultural conservatism, anti-urbanism, and nostalgia for the rural past formed an important third strand. Ford saw Jews present in everything that he viewed as modern and distasteful: contemporary music, movies, theatre, new dress styles, and loosening social mores. And of course, all this stuff is the belief in cultural Marxism. Henry Ford was an avid proponent of the idea that someone, or more precisely some group, was waging a war on Christmas. Last Christmas, most people had a hard time finding Christmas cards that indicated that in any way that Christmas commemorated someone's birth, of course referencing Jesus there. According to the International Jew, the world's foremost problem, a widely distributed set of anti-Semitic articles published in the magazine, people sometimes ask why 3 million Jews can control the affairs of 100 million Americans in the same way that 10 Jewish students can abolish the mention of Christmas and Easter out of schools containing 3,000 Christian pupils. So of course it's not very surprising the war on Christmas is like deeply racist, and it plays into a lot of propaganda about Marxists in general often being a tool of the Jewish conspiracy. So talking about that a bit more, in the 1950s when the John Birch Society decided that the glamorization and commercialization of Christmas was one big communist plot, Krieglow in a Birch Society pamphlet wrote, "One of the techniques now being applied by the Reds to weaken the pillar of religion in our country is to drive to take Christ out of Christmas, to denude the event of its religious meaning." He warned the holiday and winter decorations in stores that didn't evoke Christ were part of a much broader plan, not only to promote the UN, but to destroy all religious beliefs and customs, and he urged all Americans to boycott department stores without proper religious decor. A lot of newspapers also ran articles around the post-war period about this stuff. So in 1947, here's an article, "The Assault on Christmas. Turbulent thinking and wild expression seem to go hand in hand this day of disordered living. Sometimes one wonders if one vaunted civilization and its self-satisfaction take a genuine pride in upsetting complacence and striking out on the discordant notes. The grave announcement that there must be no carol singing in the New York public schools and that the atmosphere of Christmas must be forgotten when the bell rings." So another one in 1964, "Christmas is Christian. Christmas is under attack today among Protestants, as it has not been since Puritans outlawed its observance in both England and America in the 17th century. So in 1975, another thing by the John Birch Society, "Christmas is under attack. Christmas is not celebrated in Soviet Russia, nor is its greatest of days commemorated in communist China, Cuba, or any other communist nation. The message of Christmas obviously is incompatible with the tenets of totalitarianism." So now finally, we are getting into Bill O'Reilly. Now, he started this war on Christmas stuff and made it mainstream in 2004, but he actually had wrote an article about it in 2001. So I just want to read you a bit of it. So, "Hey, stop messing around with the meaning of Christmas. 'Tis the season to be dopey, and I was hoping the annual assault on Christmas would be shelved this year because of the national mood was more sober after 9/11, but no such luck. Grinches are running wild, and it's my job to chase them down and put snow down their backs. Let's walk through this. Christmas is a federal holiday. That means the word Christmas is legal in every way and can be used as a greeting or description or whatever you want. Christmas exists because of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, a man who changed the course of Western civilization, a man whose philosophy became the cornerstone of democratic thinking," and I really don't think that's true. "All men were created equal in the eyes of Jesus and in the eyes of the American founding fathers, apart from if you weren't white or a woman. You don't have to be a Christian to understand the importance of the central theme of Jesus' philosophy, that a person love God and love his or her neighbor as himself. Now, this might offend some atheists out there, but so what? The arrogance of a person who dismisses the thought of a higher power offends me. But in our free society, thought is protected, and so is Christmas. The secularists who would destroy the joyous tradition are destructive fascists who seek to control the free flow of expression. Hey, if I work for the King County, Washington, you're telling me I can't say Merry Christmas? What is this, Berlin in the 30s? Beijing in 1949? I mean, I don't know how many people in China are celebrating Christmas anyway. A Stalin fan club convention? What amazes me that many Americans ignore this intrusion on our civil rights. The thought police are allowed to issue their memos and orders, and they are getting away with it. Where's the American Civil Liberties Union in all this? They are busy telling school boards that they can't post God bless America signs, but the ACLU is missing in action when it comes to some pinhead bureaucrat ordering someone to not distribute Christmas cards. Now, good old Bill took this mainstream. I can't actually find a clip of it on YouTube, otherwise I'd play it, but this is like the transcript of what he said. So, Christmas under siege, the big picture. All over the country, Christmas has taken flack. In Denver this past weekend, no religious floats were permitted in the holiday parade there. In New York, Mayor Bloomberg unveiled the holiday tree and no Christian Christmas symbols are allowed in public schools. Federated department stores, Macy's, have done away with the Christmas greeting, Merry Christmas. Now, all of its anti-Christian stuff is absurd and may even be a biased situation, but the real reason it's happening is little to do with Christmas and everything to do with organised religion. Secular progressives realise that America as it is now will never approve of gay marriage, partial birth control, euthanasia, legalised drugs, income redistribution through taxation, and many other progressive visions because of religious opposition. But if the secularists can destroy religion in the public arena, the brave new progressive world is a possibility. That's what happened in Canada. Now, most people, of course, love Christmas and want to keep its traditions, but the secular movement has influence in the media among some judges and politicians. Americans will lose their country if they don't begin to take any action. Any assault on Judeo-Christian philosophy should be fought. I don't think most religious Jews celebrate Christmas, nor is it part of their religious philosophy. So I hope you see there how the right can manufacture a culture war from anything. So a so-called war on Christmas is actually a front for gay marriage, which obviously passed, for legalised marijuana, which is actually passed as well, euthanasia, which I believe hasn't passed in America, and some other stuff. Now, a lot of people will say there is a link there, but the war on Christmas led to all these things. So you see there, it's just take a nonsense issue, an issue that doesn't really exist, and tie it with a bunch of other things, because that's what the right wing always do. They get their base riled up about something that doesn't actually matter and tie it to a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like the left are like an existential threat to America itself. Now, the reason a lot of these like federal and like local councils do stuff that's more secular, because isn't that literally in the US Constitution? Because isn't America founded on the freedom of religion? There's been several notable cases where people have won because they've been forced to say stuff that is religious in a country that purports to be a country where you are free to believe whatever you want. Remember that clip in The Simpsons where Ned Flanders becomes the principal and then Chalmers hears him say it. He's like, a prayer in a public school. God has no place in these walls, the same way facts have no place in organised religion. And I'd like to thank Simpsons for actually educating me on loads of American stuff, even about like American taxes. Now, something they both talk about, Dennis and Bill, is about corporations making their employees not say Merry Christmas and instead say the more inclusive Happy Holidays. Now, these guys are obviously big capitalists and they're talking about like airlines and shopping centres. Well, of course, they should know that not everyone in America is a Christian, so it's just more inclusive for a corporation to say stuff that isn't related strictly to a religion or not, because they want to make as much money as possible. They don't want to alienate anyone, so that's why they say it. So why do these people get so mad when capitalism is working and these people think if we say Merry Christmas, even though most people won't be offended, it might be a bit exclusive to many Americans who aren't Christian, who come from other cultures and stuff, who have nothing to celebrate in this period apart from maybe the changing of the year, and even then a lot of other cultures do not celebrate the same years as us. Like the Islamic calendar is different and a Chinese New Year is different. So let's just say Happy Holidays. Now, the modern incarnation of this stuff seems like more stupid, doesn't it? Like it seems less sinister on the surface in terms of it's just so ridiculous that we can just ridicule it. But you can see how more far-right people do take this to a bigger extreme, because like Bill O'Reilly is saying, it's a front for the secularists. It's a front for the left to push their political agenda. Now, what did Henry Ford believe? He believed it was part of the Jewish conspiracy to take over the world, which often employs communist factions to undermine Western society. And things like the John Birch Society believed this as well. It always comes back to Jewish people for a lot of these guys. So that's why it's a bit ironic someone like Dennis Prager is like making these similar arguments. Not as sinister, but you can take that to a worse conclusion. So it all just ties back to, especially white American conservative Christians, thinking they're oppressed because not everyone obeys their religion or subscribes to their religion and does not want to hear their religion. Like I said in my video about Chris Pratt, I found it so odd how he's just talking about God like it's his bestie or something like that, talking about like getting the word in, bragging about listening to Christian music. And for someone like me, I'm just like, I don't really want to hear it, and I don't want it influencing the laws of my country, because a lot of us do not believe in an ancient fairy tale from 2,000 years ago. So anyway, War on Christmas, stupid, but does have some more sinister origins, especially tied to like anti-communism and of course anti-Semitism. But that is it for the video. I don't know what day this is going out, because when I'm making this right now, I don't have Wi-Fi. It might be out on Christmas Eve, so nice and festive for you guys. So I hope everyone who subscribes to me has a really good holidays. Thankfully, tomorrow is my last day working on videos until about January 3rd or 4th. Really happy about that, but I've been grinding these videos just so there will be content coming out on the channel before 2021. Look forward to my year in review. We're going to have some fun with Geeks and Gamers getting owned and pwned by Zack Snyder on his own live stream, and of course talking about things like Steven Crowder getting destroyed by Ethan Klein and Sam Cedar, and just generally reviewing what videos I've liked this year, what things have been cool in my life. So that should be going up on the 29th or the 30th, and then I will probably do a live stream on New Year's Eve. Not sure how long I'll do that, but might play some video games to the chat, so don't miss that either. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good Christmas. Follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter and Instagram. Come join our communities at Discord and Patreon, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.